our document. Welcome to our document custodian partial transfer webinar today. Today's Wednesday, September 17th. I'm Yolanda Cease, and I'm a senior business analyst with customer experience with Ginnie Mae. The information that will be shared in this call and the discussion within is intended for invited participants only. This is a closed call to the press, and all press inquiries are handled by Ginnie Mae Communications. If you are not one of the intended participants or recipients, you are hereby notified that any dissemination, distribution, or sharing of this information is strictly prohibited. Our session today is being recorded, and yes, the training deck is already available to you on ginniemay.gov. I will put the link for today's presentation in tomorrow's presentation. They both should be in the chat now. Today's training is a part of our webinar series that we're offering on various topics. We're always collecting feedback, be it suggestions, requests, or anything of that nature. You can submit all feedback at cxg@hud.gov. Please note that the presentation again for today and tomorrow are available to you on ginniemay.gov. So welcome again.
Okay, thank you very much, Yolanda. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wade Gale. I'm from the Bank of New York. I'm gonna try and be your guide today just to go through a couple of things to give you a little bit a clearer understanding of how we think partial document custodian should work. I hope it will be beneficial to you. I'll be working with today James Lee, also of the Bank of New York, and Maribel Kanan. So buckle up and let's try and get into this webinar. Next slide, please. Just trying to give you an idea of what we're trying to cover. It's not anything deep, some things that you might have already known, but just to give a refresher and just to try and steer you in the right direction when it comes to partial document custodian transfer, because it has always been more like a headache. People are not too sure on what to do. So that's why part of the reason we decide to let us concentrate on this and see if we can bring some more color to it so people understand it a little better. We're gonna look at the types of document custodian transfer requests, but we're really gonna focus mostly on partial because that's what this process is about today. We're gonna just give an overview of the document custodian partial transfer request. We're gonna document custodian partial request demo. We're gonna try and see if, depends on how you're set up in your org. If you're a small shop and your portfolio is not that large, but you're gonna do some transfers, maybe you would wanna do it in the manual form. So we have a little video for that. And if you're a larger issuer and you might want to do import, we have something for the import folks. We're going to go through some quick tips and then try and do some Q&A and just go through some resources that can help you with the process. So ready, set, go. Let's go. Okay, of course, now since everything is in the My Ginnie Mae space, and everybody knows by now, when you're logging into GinnieNet, you have to log it through My Ginnie Mae. So this is what the screen is showing. You're gonna log into My Ginnie Mae with your credential, of course, your user ID, which is most of the time your email address for work, and your password. And of course, you're gonna come up to the one-time authentication. If you get that through your phone, or it comes on your phone and you put in the 6 digit, or you get that through your email. So you have two ways of doing that. And you will land on this screen. Your tools, on the tools, we're gonna choose GinnieNet. and everybody should know this if you're actually using GenNet to do your new pools or doing GenNet for maybe final search or research. That's how you'll go. You're gonna click on GenNet. Same thing, we have the screen at the bottom that shows that too. From any screen in MGM, you select tools, and then you're gonna navigate to GenNet on the other application. You'll see right here on the other application, that's where you'll find GenNet. And hopefully you would have GenNet because your org admin gave you that functional role. So that's something you have to make sure you do have too, that the org admin does set you up with that functional role, so you'll have GenNet. Next slide. Okay, this is just what happens when you log into GenNet itself. On the main menu, if these are some of your options, you'll have on the data entry / review, you'll have new pool processing, and then certification. If you on the certification, you're going to go to common, you'll see common there. And from common, you have the options to do issuer transfer recertification, custodian transfer recertification. You'll have option also to do the HUD 11708, document custodian transfer, which we're going to do today. So that's where you'll actually go. Under that screen, once you choose document custodian transfer, it comes up with a screen right here that says GenNet on the web, document custodian transfer. You'll notice you'll see dates that say new custodian, transfer type, transfer date, month / year, regulating authority, and transfer status. You'll see this at first, but right at this area, it doesn't make sense because you're doing this for the first time, so you don't need to fill in anything on here. Right at the bottom where it says search and new, search won't do anything for you. It won't bring up any results. So you want to click on new. Once you click on new, then it will go into another screen. Next slide, please. Yes. Once you click on new, it goes to another screen, and then we're going to talk about the different types of transfer. If you're familiar with doing document custodian transfer, you know there are basically 4 types. You have complete document custodian transfer. We have partial document custodian transfer. We have complete document custodian merger, and we have partial document custodian merger. And just for complete and partial transfer requests, certification of transferred pools are due 12 months of the effective date of transfer. So that is something you want to put in your memory bank. Complete and partial transfer request, recertification of transferred pools are due 12 months of the effective date of transfer. So you just want to keep that in mind. And for complete and partial merger requests, do not require a new recertification of the effective pool transfer. The status of the pools of pre-merger will remain the same. So it's important, once issuers submit the transfer request to the document custodian, the custodian must certify the pending transfer prior to the specified effective transfer date. Very important as part of the process. So we're going to concentrate mostly today on partial transfer. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little more color and information on partial transfer that might help you when you're actually doing your transfers. Partial document custodian transfer request. An issuer will select this option to execute a partial transfer of pools, loan packages for its Ginnie Mae portfolio from an old document custodian to a new document custodian. That means a pool list must be attached with this request, and only the pools identified to be transferred to the new document custodian identified. This is where a lot of the problem starts, or we get into a lot of problems. Sometimes we get called on the customer support line. People are not too sure. They know they're doing a transfer, but they call us and ask us, I don't know which transfer to do. We can listen, we can advise you, but we cannot actually tell you which transfer you should do. You might want to know that before you actually call us so we can guide you. Because you know what you say might sound to us as a complete transfer. We might say, it sounds like a complete transfer. You go ahead and do a complete transfer. What happens? All your pools from this custodian is transferred to the next custodian. So that's why you have to be very careful when you call out. If you're not sure, just talk to us about we don't want to tell you you need to do this, because it could be something you might have to reverse going down the line, maybe 6 months down the line, when you find out that these pools are not under the correct custodian. So you just want to be very careful of that. So if you're going to do a partial, you need to have a list. That listing is saying these are the pool that's going from the existing custodian to the new custodian. So the new custodian is going to get these pools now. So, and I'm taking them from the existing custodian that I have, and it's going to that pool. That's not a complete, because if you're doing a partial, that means you're saying you're sending some of your portfolio to this new custodian, but I'm also keeping some of my portfolio with the current custodian, which is also on the system, comes up as previous sometime or existing. So, and those, that might be a little bit confusing to the users. All existing document custodian must be identified for this request with an attached pool list for each existing document custodian. That's where some of the problem comes in, because you might have more than one custodian and you're not linking that listing to those existing custodian. Very important when you're doing a partial, because a partial again means you're sending this amount of pools or to this custodian. You're not sending all your pools, so it's not complete. Therefore, you have to tell Ginnie Mae, where are the other pools? Are the other pools with custodian 123, or the other pools with custodian 222, or all the pools are with custodian 123? So that needs to be done as part of the process in the system. Recertification for all transfer pools are due 12 months from the effective date of transfer. So I put that in again in the document. I want to make sure that you get that. Recertification are all for all transfer pools are due 12 months from the effective date of transfer. You don't want to have to post a letter of credit because you didn't meet certain guidelines, and the pools are delinquent because you didn't get them in 12 months. So you just want to remember some of those things when you're doing document custodian transfer. The merger, I put the merger on here because it doesn't happen that often, but I just want to actually give you an idea what the merger states also. An issuer will select this option to execute a partial merger related transfer of pools loan package of its Ginnie Mae portfolio when a transfer is within the same document custodian corporation institution. The document custodian ID number will change. You know, like, I'm just going to give an idea, like I know one of the custodians out there that have a lot of numbers, it's US Bank. So if you're transferring pools from one US bank to the next US bank, that comes up more as a merger and not as a partial transfer. A pool list must be attached with this request, and all of the pools identified on the pool list will be transferred to the new document custodian. All existing document custodian must be identified for this request with an attached pool list for each existing document custodian. And this one, Ginnie Mae does not require recertification of the reassigned transfer pools for a merger. That's the big thing. So if you're doing a merger, moving it from one of your custodian to the next, the only thing that's changing is the custodian number. That's a merger. Then there's the recertification is not needed for mergers. Just remember, recertification is needed if you're doing a partial document custodian transfer. So that's one of the big things. And another thing we have here is import file. And I put this on here because if you're a small company and you're just doing, and you think it's best for you to just go in and do the manual entry, you have that ability. And we are actually, I think we have one of our exercises or one of our demo to show you how that's done. But if you're a larger company, you want to make sure you have, how to build an import file, and then you can go about importing the data that way. You don't want to sit down and type in 3,000 loans to the new custodian, then all other loans to the existing custodian that you have. That's a lot of work. So build an import file, get the pools, gather the pools together, make sure these are the right pools for this custodian. So when you upload, they're in the correct place. And then you do the upload that way. We have a demo, we can show that to you. But the import file must consist of only the 6-digit pool number. The issue type and pool type are not needed. The import file should be developed as a flat file, a CVS file, a CVS, I know I was gonna say that. A CSV file or Excel file will not import successfully in Ginnie Mae. Next slide, please. Oh, so right now we're about getting ready to do the demo. And I mentioned we try to set up the demo in a way that we have two. We have one for demo started, just like what I had mentioned earlier. This is the Ginnie Mae screen. It goes into Ginnie Mae after you're set up for My Ginnie Mae. This is the Ginnie Mae screen. So here we are on the Ginnie Mae screen. We're gonna usually click close and get back to the main menu. There's our main menu. On there we'll choose data entry / review, and then we come up with certification. Under certification, we're gonna choose common. And on the common, we have the different options, and we're gonna choose document custodian transfer. And that's the screen that was in that one of the pages before. And then on this screen now, we're gonna click on new because we're gonna do a new transfer request. The new transfer request, and there it comes up with the 4. You have the complete, the partial, the complete merger, and the partial merger. For us, we're gonna concentrate on partial transfer. So let's click partial transfer. Now this is what the screen looks like, and we have to make sure fill in some of the necessary information on the screen. First thing, we should know who our new custodian is. So that's where we'll put in that new custodian. We should also know the date of transfer, very important, so the custodian will know when to receive the pool. We should also know the regulatory authority information. You pick from the list, whichever works for you. And it should also know the consideration of service, which you'll find on the back of your 11715, number 14. Now, we're gonna select our previous custodian. Now, this is the custodian that we're taking some of the pools from and putting it to the new custodian. Once we identify the previous custodian, we make sure we locked it in, and then we can proceed to enter our pools. And this is in a manual form. Just wanted to give you an idea of what the manual, so we're gonna put in our pool number. We're gonna click add. Let's put in another pool number. We're gonna click select add. And I'd mentioned if you're a small company and this works for you, we wanted to show you how to do the manual entry. So once that's in, so we're saying the pools on this list is going to custodian 000772. Once that's established, now we're gonna go down to the area that says existing custodian. And this, I should say, our existing custodian is also our previous custodian. And why it's existing? Because we're only moving some of the pools. So we would still want to show the other pools that are not going to 722, but are remaining with 405. So here we're gonna go in and add those pool numbers manually. And we just did 5 or so just to give an idea of the manual entry work. Put in the pool number and you hit add. Once that's in and you're satisfied with the listed, let's put in another one for the, once it's in and we're satisfied, we have to make sure we go up and do our save, click on save. We want to save the, let's look over everything just to make sure everything is okay. And if we're happy with all the information, the pool numbers do match, the ones that's going to 722, and we're good on that, we click on save. Now that information is saved, that means it's actually ready to go to your custodian. But what I usually want to do is go to the area that says report. So let's go back to our main menu. We're going to choose reports. On the reports, we're going to choose common. And then common, we're going to look for Master Custodial Agreement 11.7.15. All that information that we just created, we're going to put in there. So there we'll put select the transfer date. It was the 29th, and that information comes up, and that start generating that report. If you're familiar with Ginnie Mae, you know that once we generate the report, we're going to click on report download. It takes a while to generate. So this screen comes up and then it goes through different stages and then it prints out the report. So very important while we wait on this report is just make sure the pool, actually, if you try to type in the same pool number in the system, it would have said pool number already exists. So at least that's one of the quality check, sanity check that's there for you. Okay, the report says complete now, so we should be able to open the report. So this is a report that's generated. And see if we can expand it a little bit more. Okay, and there it says that's the new custodian 00722. That's where the pools are going. And all the necessary information that comes up on that screen about this form itself. If this pool was submitted, it will also show the person who submit the data, but we're not going to do the submission. Right at where it says bottom right here, the information would have filled in if someone had submitted this. But we're not submitting. We want to make sure we review it before. No, this is a partial Ginnie Mae portfolio transfer. This is saying that the pool numbers on this list, pool 00722, the pool list, this is where the pools are going to. The existing document custodian Deutsche Bank 405 will continue to be responsible for the pool on list 2. So the pool that's on pool list goes to the custodian. So list 2, of course, is showing the existing custodian. So these are the pools that are staying with you with 405. So it said existing custodian on there, and then it says new custodian. But these are the pools. The pools in B are the ones that staying with 405. These are not going to 722. That's why you have both lists. So once this list have been reviewed and you're okay with it, the other piece comes up now. This is the list that's going to 722 on the attached pool list for this transmission. These are the pools that are going to 722, and they're listed there. The ones in A, that's how we have done it, just to show a difference. It shows you the previous custodian, which is 405, and the new custodian, which is 722. So that's what the actual list look like. After this, you'll go and go back and do the transmission on the host communication. So that's the screen. It still says, are we on to the second video? Maybe not. We're still on data entry. Let's stop there for a little bit. So that was you just bring up the computer on the screen before we go into the second video, the demo page. Yes, thank you, Colin. Yes, so that was our first demo, just to give an idea. manual entry. And we try to do this as simple as possible. I think in our import, we try to make it a little bit more complicated, add another existing custodian so you could see what you could come up against while during the session. And the stuff that we just show you, these are things that we get all the time on the hotline because people are not too sure what to do. I know sometimes just going into the system, it might be a little bit confusing. So we are trying to ease your mind, make sure you understand it. But still, if you're not clear, don't hesitate to give us a call at the 800 number anytime, and don't hesitate to even send us an email. Say, I saw the session, I was still not clear on what Wade said, and I just still need some clarification. But we want to make sure, talk to us before you go and do this, because I can tell you, even right today, we're doing a reversal because a custodian transfer happened and it was done the wrong way. A lot of times we have to end up taking these reversal and do them behind the scenes, because if we don't, it's gonna another burden on the custodian. They have to go back, and when the pools are transferred again, reversed, they have to go back and do the recertification, and they already done that. So we have to be very careful what happens if we're doing a partial and we end up doing a complete. And the funniest thing, the way this system works, just to give you that, for complete, if you are doing a complete, and unfortunately, that's how it was programmed, if you put one pool in that you're transferring to custodian 722, guess what? Your entire portfolio will transfer. That's the thing about your entire portfolio will transfer. So we just have to be a little bit careful when we're doing that. It doesn't work like that for the partial. It does becomes a headache to show you how best we can show you to do the input. I am sorry, people. I just had a power surge. It happens sometimes in New York City, in Far Rockaway, where I live. So I just had a power surge, so I'm sorry for that. But I'm good. Thank you. Now, let's go into our second demo. I'm sorry about that, but that's all part of technology. Sometimes it works well, sometimes little hiccups.
Wade, before we do start the demo, we do have a question. Would you like to go ahead and answer that question now or after the demo?
Perfectly fine. Yes, I can.
Okay, let me go ahead and read out this question to you. A question in the Q&A. Do you have any written procedures for this process? And that question is from Alma.
It's in the user manual. It's not written. The written procedure would be your internal process, but it's in the GennyNet user manual on how to go about doing the process itself. But it's not a procedure. A procedure would have to be done what you need to do internally, but it's in our user manual. So if Alma, if you need to call me and talk about it, that's fine. We have our number and our email address at the end of the sessions. I'll be willing to talk to you about that. Okay. Any more, James?
We do have a hand raised from Crystal Andrews. Let me go ahead and allow her to speak so
Okay.
she can go ahead and ask her question. Crystal, are you there?
I don't think they're given option to talk that way.
Okay.
You have to put it in the chat.
All righty, Crystal, if you do have a question, can you go ahead and please type that question into the chat or the Q&A for us so we can go ahead and answer whatever question you have?
Okay, let's go into the next demo. And this is the demo. We try and do it in terms of it's an import. So we can try and do the import how it would be done in your shop. We're just queuing it up. Are we good for the demo? There we go. Thank you. And then part of of course, the demo. Oh, and hi everyone. This is Wade Gale. This is what he looks like now. In that picture that's there. I'm working the Santa Claus beard, getting ready for Christmas. So we log into GennyNet through MGM. Always remember that we can't go the old way anymore. That's now of the past. We're gonna go to at the menu come up. We're gonna choose data entry / review. We're gonna choose certifications. On the certification again, we're gonna choose common. That hasn't changed. Under common, we're gonna choose document custodian transfer. Once we select document custodian transfer, we're gonna click on new. We'll see the screen come up that says new, transfer type, transfer date, months, year, regulated authority. You're not gonna do anything there right now because we're gonna set up the first request. So we're gonna click on the new tab or the new button. There it is. Click, and then it brings up the 4 transfers: complete, partial, complete, and complete merger and partial merger. We're gonna click on the one that we're gonna do partial. Again, the same screen comes up. And on this screen, we're gonna choose the new custodian. That custodian should have been in your system already because it was a part of your master agreement that you did for the year 2021. So you're gonna pick that custodian. You're gonna put in again the date of transfer. We're going to select the regulatory authority. We're going to put in a consideration. You can find it on the number 14 part of your 11715 form. Now we're going to select the previous. Anytime you see the word previous there, those are the pools that are going to the new custodian. These are the pools are going from 405 to the new custodian. Now we're going to do an import. We've already created our import file. So we're going to go to the area that we have that file stored. Are we showing the same thing? This is not the import, it's still the data entry.
That's my bad. This is the import here.
Okay. Sorry about that. We're logging in again. Going to Ginnie Mae. Click on data entry / review. Comes up to certification. We're going to choose common. Under common, we're going to choose document custodian transfer. And then we're going to choose new. Which comes up with the 4 different transfers. We're just concentrating today on partial. So that's the screen that comes up, and we need to proceed to enter all the necessary information on the screen. So we're going to choose our new custodian, then the date. We're going to choose the previous custodian. Those are the pools that are going to the new custodian. We're going to do add. We're going to select that, and then we should be going over to our file and do an import file they've already created. Okay, so we have created those files, so we're going to find where they are. We're going to do the import. And those pools are imported. So the pools that are there now are going to the new custodian, but we're not done because we have a couple more custodian on our books. So we're going to do the existing now. So we had custodian at 00038. We're putting all those pools now to 722, but we have another custodian. So we're going to select the file where we have for that other custodian and do the import. So once that's in, so what this is showing now, we have 2 existing custodians. We have another one, so we're going to choose it again. This is a larger company that has more than 1 custodian that they're using. So this comes up, this is real life. This is what happens in the real world with some of these users, because they have more than 1 custodian and they're transferring still just a part of their portfolio. So you have to make sure you have those files, and those files do belong to those pools do belong to the custodian you're you're saying you're keeping, these are the existing pools that are remaining, they're not transferring. You're telling Ginnie Mae that. So whatever is on Ginnie Mae's system right now is showing it's gonna remain the same. It's just the ones in the previous is going to the new custodian. So we have done the import. Once we're happy with all the necessary information that's imported, you see the files there populate, the pools populate there. We're gonna save that information. And I wanna save this and go through the form again. I just wanna show you what's the difference now when you bring up that 11.7, 11.15 form. On the reports, we're gonna choose common. On the common, we're gonna choose common, we're gonna choose master agreement. We're gonna choose the trans. Once that is in, we're gonna start generating that report. So we're gonna click on report download. And then it's in progress. Once it comes through, we're gonna view it and see what it looks like. Let's open the form itself and view it on the screen. Okay, so all the new custodian is still 00722. So the pool in the previous section should be going to that custodian. So the form looks the same here. It's not submitted yet. So the person who did the RSA token is not in there. So this is list 2. These are all the pools that are remaining. These are not the pools that are going to the new custodian. These are the pools that see list 2, existing custodian, new custodian. So all those pools are remaining. There's another list 2. All those pools on that list 2 is remaining with that custodian. There should be another list 2. I think we did 3. So all these pools are remaining. Now this is the pools. These are the pools now that are transferring to the new custodian. Let's see what comes up on the screen. Yes, the previous custodian and the new custodian. All these pools are going to the new custodian. So therefore, we kind of created another list for you, so you'll see it can actually come up that way too. And once it's done, everything else happens in host communications. You go through host communication and you'll do your submission. Once you do you're gonna put in get your user ID and get the validation of that. Then it comes up with your RSA token. You're gonna put in your 4-digit numbers. We're just showing you a part of the screen here, what happens. Then you select the transfers that are there. You're gonna bring them over on the other side. You click on OK. And once it shows here that it's ready to go, then you're gonna click on submit. Then it brings up asks for your credential there. We didn't go through the full process with the RSA token because we just wanted to concentrate mostly on the document custodian transfer piece. I think we're gonna stop here as part of the process. But you go through this and then it generates and it brings up your RSA token information. You put in your PIN, then you'll put in your 6-digit passcode, and if everything goes well, it's submitted to the custodian. Can we just go back to the document that shows the laptop? So we just stop there, please. So the information is submitted. Your document custodian gets notification right away saying there's a document custodian transfer out there. So right away, they can see that information. You know that 11.7.15 form that we looked at? they have the ability to actually go out there and print that. And hopefully while we're doing this, the issue of actually package your information or your documents and I've actually sent them off to the new custodian. Because that's part of what this is saying. I'm doing this certification because I got the listing. Hopefully I should have also got the documentation on these pools. And if the custodian has those documents, they can go ahead and do the certification. They also can do a rejection. Don't be surprised, because if they do their due diligence and they find that the pool numbers don't match the custodian number for them, they have the ability to do a rejection, saying, you're telling me that I have the documentation for these, but the pool numbers that you sent me are not the same. So they have the ability to reject. They can, and you're gonna get a notice that this is rejected, and you'll have to go in there and make the correction and send it off again. It's very important. If that does happen though, make sure you might need to adjust your transfer date. Because if they try and certify the pool after the transfer date, when the pool comes down to the Ginnie Mae system and go through its due diligence, its check-in, the system is going to reject them and say transfer date has passed. So that's very, very important there before you, on the custodian side. So set up time with the custodian, make sure that all the necessary documentation are there at the custodian, at the new custodian shop. Then you proceed to do your document custodian transfer request. Because, hey, the custodian have all right. I am not certifying these pools until I have the physical documentation. That's their right. They don't have to go by the listing. They should be doing some form of due diligence check against the listing with the documentation they have. I think that's only right. You don't want to certify against something that you don't have. Oh, okay. Can we go on to the next slide, please?
Wade, before we continue, we do have a few questions in the chat I wanted to go ahead and read out. Is that okay?
Yes, let's do it.
All righty, 2 questions. Question number 1 from Margot Hill. Does the 12 months start when Ginnie Mae approves the transfer or when the custodian actually gets the documents out the door? For example, Ginnie Mae approved our transfer in December 2020 and BNYM finally shipping the pools in August 2021.
But that sounds like those pools were delinquent in terms of final certifying them. Or were they certified? Were those pools certified? It's 12 months after the pool is submitted. 12 months from submission. That's when the 12 months start. It must be, if it starts in November of this year, it must be done by at least October of 2022. So it's 12 months from date of transmission.
Margot said they were certified prior to the transfer.
They mean the document custodian transfer was done before the, when you say certified, we mean, are we talking about final certification, or we're talking about just certify in GennyNet for the transfer? What I usually suggest for most of the users, just to make this clear, if you're doing a document custodian transfer and you have to get pools to your custodian, make sure you have the actual documents that's going to be transferred. And the pool numbers that you're sending, the custodian should be checking those things. Unless you have some other arrangement that I'm asking them to do the certification so we can do the transfer, and then I'll send you the documents later. That's up to you. But you want to make sure you're following. I wouldn't want to certify nothing blindly until I have the physical documentation so I can do a check. That's why I think it's the best way to do it.
Hey, Wade,
James,
that's
next
Margot
question.
Hill. Wade,
Yes,
it's
hi, Margot.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. My question goes to when you transfer document custodians, the new custodian that you're transferring to, my understanding is they still have to certify those documents. So when Bank of New York Mellon was no longer Ginnie Mae certified and we were forced to transfer from there, we had that approved in Jenny for the transfer in December of 2020. But my pools never left Bank of New York Mellon. The final ones left in August of 2021. So does my new custodian now only have 3 months to get those checked in and recertified?
Yeah, because unless they got some, I know, Margot, I know that the BNY Mellon situation was unique because of what happened. So I don't know if if Ginnie Mae gave them some more time, some leeway to get all the documentation over to the new custodian. So, but if the transfer date is like, I'm gonna say 3/20/21, 11/20/21, those pools must be finalized by within 12 months of that time.
So by finalized, are you meaning final certification of the Ginnie Mae pools? Or
all the necessary information that's within the transfer should be done by within that 1 year.
Okay.
Because what's happening on the system is you're telling Jenna Mae that I'm doing the transfer from one custodian to the new custodian on this date. So you have all that other time now to make sure you get everything in order, all your ducks in a row, make sure everything matches within 12 months. After the 12 months, then it go into some form of, then there could be some form of penalty there in terms of not meeting the criteria or what the policy Jenna Mae said. With BNY Mellon, it was a different scenario because they were going out of the business, and I think they might have gotten some leeway or some leniency in terms of preparing some of the information. That's why it was a little bit off there. I hope that answered your question, Martha.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And any other questions? James?
We have another one from Mary Schroeder. What is the value of having to enter all pools? If I am moving 5 pools from one custodian to another, why not just move those? This process is risky for active Ginnie Mae issuers delivery regularly with the multiple custodians.
Read the first part of the question again for me, please.
Let's see. What is the value of having to enter all pools? If I am moving 5 pools from one custodian to another, why not just move those?
Right.
Yeah, you're moving them, but Ginnie Mae doesn't have that record that the pools were moved. On Ginnie Mae's system is showing the old custodian. So what's happening? You're telling Ginnie Mae that those are the 5 you're moving. So those 5 pools will be updated on Ginnie Mae backend to the new custodian.
Right.
So that's.
So wait, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, Wade. The question is really, so we have 5 pools and we're moving them from, you'll use your example, Deutsche Bank to US Bank. So
yes,
we're doing that. But then I have to go in and I have to say, okay, now I have to get a list of every pool I have at every custodian I have. And, we have several custodians. So that just seems really risky. I mean, because we're constantly delivering pools, we're very active. So I was just wondering, what is the value of, if I say I'm moving these 5 pools, Ginnie Mae, I'm moving these 5 pools from Deutsche Bank to US Bank, that tells them I'm moving those pools. I don't understand why I have to tell them the other pools are staying where they're staying. Well, if I'm not telling you I'm moving them, then I'm guessing they're staying where they're staying, and you have that record.
Yeah, I
risky.
totally see your point. And we have heard that all these years, but when the system was designed, and hopefully we were trying to go through some other new design, it just didn't get through. But that was one of the points people made. Why do I need to list the existing pools? But the way the system is set up, that's a valid point. And what I'd suggest that when you get some time again, we try and bring that up with to Jenny Mae and Michael Stakes, because we might need to this, you know, that Jenny Net is old as my beard, put it like that. So we might need to go through some changes in terms of how the process works. But right now, this always was designed that you list the pools that you're sending to the new custodian, and you also list the pools that you're not moving, and that those are going to be with for the existing custodian. So I see your point, and it's a valid point. And so we might just want to revisit that with Jenna Mae again through some questions and see how they feel about it. But
Right,
it's a valid point.
Right, so, okay, and I agree, it's definitely an issue. So if loans are delivered today, right, and I'm doing the transfer today, and I didn't, you know, I don't necessarily have those pool numbers, I guess I need to get all that before I do anything, because I could risk something happening with those pools that I don't want to happen.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, and that's why we always tell the users when they're doing this, make sure you do your due diligence. Because if you're moving a small portion, you're good. If your portfolio is large, you have 1,000 this, 1,000 here, 1,000 there. Sometimes you might get some of the pool numbers mixed up, and those are the ones that are going to get kicked out on Jenny Mae's system. Say this pool cannot be transferred to this custodian because on my system it's showing it's under another custodian. So those are the risks that you do take there. That's why we all ask you to make sure you have those pool listing as tight as possible when you're doing the upload or doing the manual entry for the document custodian transfer.
Yeah.
Any other question?
Alrighty, last question from Carter Hoffman. Let's see, I had the same question as Margot, and I am also wondering if there is anything I can check on Ginnie that the transfer is complete. Is there a document custodian report?
If the transfer is complete, you should get notification you should be getting e-notification when on the date of transfer. You should have gotten something back saying the transfer was complete. If there were some errors, you should also get something in there saying some of these pools did not go through. If you're not getting that when you do these transfers, please let us know, because they should be getting something back telling you the status of the transfers. I don't know if you have access to e-notification. It should go there once it goes through that, the date of transfer. Once that goes through and everything is successful, or if there's an error rejection because the pool number was terminated, so that pool is showing up, you should get something back saying that. If you're not, please let me know.
Thank you.
James, are there any more questions?
No, sir.
Carter.
That is it right now.
It's
Well,
Carter, are you coming on?
Yeah. Well, I was unmuted, so I wasn't sure if you could hear me, but thank you. That answers my question. The reason I ask is because the person who initiated all of the transfers is working in a different department now, so I will reach out to them, see if they got the
Carter, but check out the e-notes. If you're not getting it, just that out for you.
You got it. Yeah, I'll check out e-notes as well. Thank you.
Okay, I see. So they might be the one getting those.
Yeah.
Okay. Wade, does that conclude your presentation?
Wade might be frozen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got disconnected.
Okay. Did this conclude his presentation?
I believe so, if there's no other questions.
I believe
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, again, we're sorry for the technical difficulties today, everyone. Thank you again for attending. Before we let you go, please take a minute to participate in the polling questions. Again, this is an opportunity for everyone to submit their feedback and help us make all of our training sessions, no matter the delivery, more enriching for everyone. For all events hosted by Ginnie Mae, we do pay attention to all the feedback that is offered. You're more than welcome to send us feedback, or you can just reach out to us at cxx@hud.gov. I hope that this training was really beneficial to you all and that you learned something that you didn't know before, or it served as a refresher of some sort. Thank you for hanging out with us today. And remember to complete the polling questions for us. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day.